Well, ladies and gentlemen, how do you follow that last act? One more round of applause for that. I was just dying in the back. It was awesome. That was amazing. So, bear with me. When I printed this out, because the ceiling at my house collapsed in on my office and took out everything, including the computer, so I had to go over to copy.com and print out and I'm old, and my eyes don't, and it's small. So, bear with me. It's been a moment, and I appreciate it. This story is also continuing on the shit you will do for women. Ladies and gentlemen, by Hoja Lopez, Soccer Practice. So there was this girl at the first high school I went to. Let's call her Anna, or Anne, because that's her name. She was gorgeous. Anne and I were friends. We got along really well, but as the cliche goes, I was into her, she dated assholes, etc., etc. I was 15 years old and deep in the friend zone. It wasn't pretty. She runs up to me one Monday morning telling me about how she had the best weekend ever. She'd hooked up with this 21-year-old guy who had a car and drove her around and blaring music and burnouts in a paddock and driving into the lake where they fucked. Every word was a knife in my gut. There was no way I could live up to this guy. He had everything. I had nothing. I wrestled with it until lunchtime. Then I had an epiphany. The car. It all stemmed from the car. If I could just get a car, right? But I didn't have a car. And I certainly couldn't drive one. Not letting that stop me, I walked over to Anne and casually mentioned that I could drive her to soccer practice tonight if she wanted. She said, "What? You can't drive?" Oh, of course I can. Oh, yeah. My dad taught me to drive when I was like 12. I thought I'd mentioned it. She's like, no, but okay, cool, that's cool. Come around mine by 6:30. I'm like, no probs. Now, before I read any further, please remember, I was a desperate fool, hopelessly in love, not thinking of the consequences. My dad arrived home at 5:25 that day, same as he did every day. I was watching TV, as I usually did. He asked what the plan for dinner was, as he usually did. I replied that I'll walk down to the store and pick up some pasta or something, as I usually did. He said, okay, and went to run a bath, as he usually did. Unusually, instead of putting the dog on his leash and going for a walk, I slid my dad's keys off the hook. Instead of walking out the front door, I walked into the garage. Instead of not being a fucking idiot, I was a fucking idiot. I love this story. I opened the garage door, shoved the key into the ignition, put the car into reverse, and drove out of there. I figured I had about an hour to learn to drive. Before I needed to pick up Anne. This was good. I rolled down the street pretty slowly. My heart was pumping, but I was in control. I adjusted the mirrors because I'd seen other people do that. It was lucky I did that because that's when I noticed my dad running down the street with just a towel after me. I panic. I slammed down on the accelerator. The whole event probably took about 4 seconds. It was all slow motion in my mind, so I can't be sure. But I remember letting go of the wheel while looking at my mostly naked father in the rear view. I remember shifting my gaze to the tall brown fence that was speeding toward me. And I remember covering my head with my arms and feeling the thud of what I now know was the airbag. When I clawed the airbag off my face, I stumbled, fell out of the car. I stood up in my neighbor's garden and looked at the bonnet of my father's car embedded into the living room of the house. I stared at it for a long time. I heard a noise behind me and turned to see my dad, his towel long since discarded, panting heavily and just staring at me. I calmly asked him, "What happens now?" He said, "I don't know." So I just sat down on the lawn amidst the debris, and my naked dad sat down beside me. And we didn't say anything. We just waited for the neighbors to get home. And Ann was late for soccer practice. Thank you very much.